Okay. Let's see here. Okay, here's a good one that I want to. So, what do you guys think is the most misunderstood position that you hold? Right, that people always mischaracterize. If you do an interview, it's almost guaranteed to fucking come up, right? And knowing what you know now, how would you reframe it? I can go ahead and go first here on this one. So one of the positions that people always get fucking pissed off at me about is I say, need to have sex with 50 women before you start thinking about even getting married, right? Make 6 figures a year, have at least half a year of savings in a bank account somewhere, be in good shape, obviously be 35 years old or older, and then have 50 women. Now, no one really argues with me about the 4 things I mentioned before, but when I talk about having sex with 50 girls, people really harping on that 50 number and say that's degenerate, blah, blah, blah. But the reason why I say that is because I want guys to be in a position where sex is no longer novel to them, right? So that they can be in a position of dominance where their girl can't leverage sex against them for compliance, right? This happy wife, happy life bullshit, right? Just because I understand how feminism and modern women in general have changed the dating dynamic or the marriage dynamic to even to the point where we got people that are religious like Nick that can even acknowledge it. So a lot of people mischaracterize that position. It's like, oh, it's got to be a hard 50. Look, dude, it could be 5. It could be 1. But my point is I just need you to get to a point where sex is no longer novel to you and your wife can't hold it against you. So that's my position that people always fucking misconstrue and try to attack me on. But when I actually explain it full through, then they're like, oh, that makes sense. But you know how people are. They watch clips. They don't watch full content ever. So what would you guys say is one of your positions that's always fucking mischaracterized, and you got to clarify? And then if you could do it again, how would you reframe it now knowing what you know?
I mean, it depends on where it's coming from. With regard to the normie crowd, it's like everything, and it's always been everything.
Yeah.
It's they mischaracterize my position on race, Israel, women, you name it, or if it's from the right. I would say the biggest one is that I'm an extremist. I mean, I don't think I'm an extremist at all. I think I'm moderate. It's kind of like my new thing because I talk to these people and they're anticipating me to be like a raging a caricature of a skinhead or something like that. And when it really comes down to it, with regard to all these different issues, I think that what is called far right, what is called anti-Semitic, what is called white supremacist, it's really just reality. I had a clip that went viral over the past couple of weeks where I'm talking about black people in Chicago. And we emerged from a time recently where there was so much political correctness around the subject of race and race relations between blacks and whites. And so I think the conversation is sufficient now. People see my take, and what I'm saying is like, look, the city is a shithole, and it's a shithole because you got carjackings happening all the time. It's because you have this like impropriety everywhere. We talk about black people in America, people talk about fatigue, fatigue from dealing with black people. It's like we all know in our lived experience in our day to day, what we can expect from black people is people being inconsiderate, people being rude, aggressive, menacing, not following the rules. And that's kind of always been my position. Is like, on some level, people look at a person like myself or others and they think we want to ship all the black people out of America. We want to kill them all or something like that. And it's like, they've been here forever. They've been here for 400 years. They've been here longer than my family's been here. We just want them to behave. We just want to hold everybody to a standard where people are polite, respectful, clean, decent, peaceful, and the rest of it. And it's like, now that I'm back on these mainstream platforms, I do a monologue about it. And even the black people are all saying, yeah, I agree with him. I get where he's coming from. So, that's just like one example. I think that we really just need to return to common sense, and not like the gay common sense like Donald Trump, where, he says common sense is like no transgenderism. I'm talking about like old school racism being common sense, where it's like, yeah, we all know not all black people are bad. We also know what's going on with them, and yeah, we don't have some weird desire to like dominate women or, bully them. But we're also like, yeah, they kind of need to be put in their place. They do need a strong hand. They do need someone to treat them in an assertive way. And even as far as the Jews are concerned, for centuries, for millennia, we know what's going on with the Jews. Now, we don't want to kill them all. We don't want to hurt them. People say you're a Nazi. You want another Holocaust. Absolutely not. At the same time, we know they fucking love Israel and they're very tribalist. Is it a good idea to have them run in Congress when they're walking in with an IDF uniform? Obviously not. So we just need that kind of like old school common sense. I would say that's maybe the rebrand. I would say I'm moderate. That's the misunderstanding.
Yeah, taking trips to Israel when they should be figuring out the Epstein files, shit like that. And I'll tell you this, Nick, like, it's funny to me because, you know, people that aren't familiar with you or whatever, one of the first things they say is, you're friends with a white supremacist. And I'm like, you know, this guy hates black people. Why are you even around? And I'm like, that's not true. Like, he doesn't. I know him in person. I've known him for a few years now. Very cordial, very nice. And then people forget that you literally helped Ye with Ye 24. So if you were so racist, why would you be helping a black man become president of the United States? So I always laugh when they say this stuff, when they say that dumb shit. But what about you, Andrew? What would you say is one of your positions that's always mischaracterized whenever you do interviews? I know a lot of people, there's a bunch with you, I know they mischaracterize.
Yeah, but none of the mischaracterizations are genuine. None of them are genuine mischaracterizations. It's Define People hoax all over again. It's the wrap-up smear. They do it on purpose, and they know exactly what they're doing. They take something you've said, and they take a small part of it, and they take it out of context, and they repeat it over and over and over again. As I said, the whole Christian, even the Jewish right wing, no one had a problem with me really till I talked about October 8th, and they had a huge issue with me all of a sudden. And it was all instant and overnight, and it changed instantly and completely. So none of it's genuine. And, you know, Nick's pointing out very basic pattern recognition. That's why humans are alive. We learned the pattern recognition that if you go near the tiger, you get eaten by the tiger. If you eat that plant, it's poisonous. It's fucking pattern recognition at this point. It's not racism. It's not anti-Semitism. The things we're pointing out are simply very well-known pattern recognition, and people are too afraid to say them. But I don't think any of my viewpoints are genuinely misunderstood. I don't believe I could have said them in any other way to make people understand them. I believe no matter how I said it, they would have taken it, twisted it, and weaponized it. And one of the things that's most important you have to understand about the world is when they weaponize things against you, they always weaponize virtue. They're not going to weaponize the fact that, you know, they're not going to sit there and pretend that you're a bad person unless they get to be a great person. So they're going to come along and pretend they give a shit about women so much so they can attack me. And they're going to come along and pretend they give a fuck about the Holocaust so they can attack Nick and you guys and me. It's all just weaponized virtue garbage. It's the oldest trick in the book, but a lot of people still fall for it. So if you're going to tell the truth in this world, if you're going to sit there and say, yeah, this is the actual reality of what's happening, you're always going to get pinned with some bullshit, no matter how you say it. And the most important thing you can do is not give a fuck and double down. Every time I got in trouble, the BBC used to print articles about my emergency meetings when I said racist words. So then I started saying them 15 times a show, so many times that they can't print it anymore. You can't do the same article every fucking day, nigger. So I just kept doing it. You have to double down on it. And a lot of people are afraid to do that because of the backlash. But no matter what you try and do and say, they're just going to attack you with it all day long.
Speaking of mischaracterized positions, and I kind of want to throw this to Nick real quick, because I think I've been seeing so many people talk about this, and I don't think they give you a fair shot. So we got a lot of people watching right now. By the way, guys, if you're watching on Fresh Fit, I'm going to switch over to Myron Gaines X on both Rumble and YouTube. So come on over. I'm going to end the Fresh Fit stream here in a second. But I'm going to ask this question first. So, Nick, a lot of people say that you are a undercover Dem. You used to support Trump. Now you don't support him. You have an issue with JD Vance. You're criticizing him because you're a hater, right? People come at you and say that you're doing, you know, you're trying to mess with the Republican Party, blah, 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 right? Now, I know the reasons why, right? And I make sense. But I don't think, like, people have given you a fair shot when you give your criticisms of Trump and his running mate, JD Vance. And I want to give you credit as well because you called it April of last year that JD was going to be the vice president. And then, boom, fast forward to July in the RNC, and he gets, you know, put in there. Because I remember I was there, right? And the first thing he's talking about is attacking Iran, punching him in the nose. So I think it's pretty much undisputed now in the right wing, conservative media, that your predictions have been damn near flawless. So if you could kind of just go over, because I think a lot of people mischaracterize your position on Trump and on JD Vance. I'll kind of just throw it to you there, and you can just take it wherever you want. And guys, come on over to Myron Gaines X on everywhere. On Rumble, YouTube, whatever. I'm going to end the Fresh Fit stuff. But go ahead, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the whole Democrat thing is concerned, it's very amusing to me. It's very amusing. I almost don't even mind it because, you know, people are fucking retarded about politics. Like, on some level, you'd like to think that we're starting to get it. The people are waking up. They see what Israel's doing. And then at the same time, you have to keep the Pareto principle in mind, the 80-20 principle, which is that like 80% of the population is scum. They're just like worthless scum. Now, they're not worthless, but they're low IQ followers, whatever you want to call it. It's a 20-80 principle or an 80-20 principle. And here's what I mean by this. As far as I'm concerned, we are so through the rabbit hole. Like, I got red pilled when I turned 18 and I was in college 10 years ago, whatever it was. And we're at the point now where you have these basic normies. They're just discovering Israel. At the same time, I go and criticize Trump for something or another thing, and people say, yeah, but I mean, the Democrat would have been worse, don't you think? But the Democrats would have been far worse. This is better than Kamala, wouldn't you say? And to me, this is just such like a basic mechanism of control, which is how the regime will play the right off of the left. I almost feel like it's passé. It's trite to even suggest that the right and left are the same. And yet it needs to be said over and over and over again. The Republicans, the Republicans are just as bad as the Democrats. They always have been. Who brought us to Iraq? The Republicans. Who made the economy the way it is? Republicans. Where did NAFTA come from? Yeah, Bill Clinton signed it, but it came from the Republicans. It's like, so, people like to say, oh, but the Dems, but the left, but this, that, and the other. The Republicans are the same. They are virtually the same. The platform is effectively indistinguishable. They have the same donors. They go to the same parties. They're the same people. And so, like Dinesh D'Souza and I debated back in June, and Dinesh said this to me. He said, you're starting to sound like a Democrat. I'm like, Democrats, Republicans, are we really still doing this thing? As far as I'm concerned, it's like there are the people that are disempowered, and then there are the people that are in power. Now, whether you or I are voting Republican or Democrat, whether we watch Fox News or MSNBC, we're still goyim. We're still stupid wage slaves. We're still a bunch of stupid, disenchanted, or I should say disenfranchised wage slaves that are eating Zog slop, watching slop on TV. And here we are arguing, it should be Biden, it should be Trump. There's continuity. Trump armed the Ukrainians first. Biden continued it. Trump gave us the vaccine. Biden mandated it. Trump started the Chinese tariffs. Biden did the CHIPS Act and continued the tariffs. Trump created the corporate tax rate. Biden kept it in place. Trump extended it when he got back in. It's all the same shit. It's always been all the same shit. So, and like I said, I feel like George Carlin saying that. I feel like an edgy midwit when I say, oh, it's all one big club and you ain't in it. Yeah, I feel like a big fucking stupid midwit when I say that. And yet it still needs to be said because you have these dummies that are like, we have to vote Republican every time forever or else the Democrats, they're gonna what? They're going to make a vaccine. They're going to let in illegal aliens. Trump did the same thing. So, the promise of Trump is that he was going to break us out of that. He didn't. And now we need to recognize he's just another Republican candidate and act accordingly. That